How many feel like you're struggling with receiving intuition like you'd want? How many feel like you really want to kick it more? Oh, bunch, okay. Kick it more. Because I don't want this just to be about me, because this is your time. And I like to bring up some tips about how to really crank up your own intuition, your own awareness, how to get this going. Because I teach a class in this. This is kind of like a little tiny mini class of a 2-day class that I teach. If you're interested, this is my only little commercial. I came out with this, I think 4 months ago. It's Become a Medical Intuitive, and it's actually a how to do it. It's not just about reading about a medical intuitive. This is about you doing this work for yourself, but also for other people if you're interested. So, and it's a process. It's a process of experiencing it, reading a little bit more, putting it into action. Because my hope, my passion, I'm going all over the world now doing this. My passion is for each person that either reads the book or comes to the workshop to put this into action and help other people. Because the medical intuitive picks up the whole story that a CT scan will never pick up. An X-ray will never pick it up. You know, a lab test will not pick up the whole story, the emotional components of our illness, the thought components of our illness. But you as medical intuitives will have a chance to provide that information for yourself and for other people, for your loved ones. You don't have to do it professionally, but for your loved ones, because I'm telling you, there's been healing after healing after healing. When you share this information with someone and they have light bulbs go off, it's like the woman whose liver, who was taking it on for her father. She came back to me about 6 weeks later, something like that. Her liver was stunningly beautiful, just like the rest of her. And you know what she told me? She said, my dad has already passed. And she said, I let him have his own path. I let him have his own process, and instead of going in and trying to take it away from him, she said, I was just there for him. So it will have profound effects on people, for themselves, for their loved ones, all kinds of stuff. I love this stuff. Okay, so here's tip number 1 for you to build up your own, is that intuition uses all of your senses, Like that woman that I mentioned was at my booth this morning. She said, well, the word stroke just came up. And I kept thinking about I think it was her brother-in-law. And she said, I just felt like I had to start carrying around my blood pressure cuff. So she was doing that. She got all kinds of information about his struggle, and she said it happened 2 days later. He had a stroke. And she just said, my goodness, I'm picking up all these signals. It's just a matter of picking it up. So she had a thought of the word stroke pop into her mind. She had feelings about it. Some people have smells. I've worked with people, and all of a sudden, I will get like a hot metallic smell, and I'll tell them, and every time I have had this particular smell, they said, well, I've had chemotherapy in the past. Now, my smeller's not that great, so it's not, I'll admit, it's not one of my strengths with intuition. But I can smell chemotherapy. This one person said, well, you can't smell, that was 5 years ago. And I said, well, see, that energetic signature of it in some way was still lingering in their whole story of it. So notice all of your senses. I do a lot of phone sessions in Skype, and with this one woman, she was on the phone, and I was giving her some information, and it took me a while to figure out, boy, I was kind of scratching all over the place, and I didn't realize that. And when I finally realized, oh wait, my body is giving me a signal about her. I wasn't taking it on, so don't think we take it on. I was just getting a message about her on a physical level. And I said, you're having some struggles with your skin, aren't you? She says, I'm covered with psoriasis. See? So if you would, start paying attention to all of your senses, because you are an antenna. Our whole bodies are antennas, and we're wired to do this for ourselves, but also I think we're wired to do this for and with each other. So that was tip number one. The second tip I like to mention, people will say, well, how do I know it wasn't just my brain thinking? And one of the ways that I noticed is that, like again, if we were working together, that I would just go into her energy field and then when I do that, I pause. And it's just a split second of a pause. And I take absolutely the most instant anything that comes in. Instant. So whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm smelling, whatever thoughts pop up into my head, what else? Taste. Oh, I taste, for like people with diabetes, I can get a sense of like a thick, sugary, kind of dryness in my mouth, and that'll always give me a signal of that. So notice all of that, all of those ways. And instantly take the stuff that pops into your awareness as if it pops in out of nowhere. Because if you do that, your thinking mind has not had time to get in the way. It hasn't had time because you're receiving it from the energy of the person, or you're receiving it from the cosmos. You're literally receiving it from the richness of the air that's around us. It just like pops in, jumps in, rushes in, whatever those words are that you like. That will tell you that it's the clearest information. Your thinking mind hasn't had time to muck it up. It hasn't had time to get in and think, oh, well, you're just making that up. That can't be right. That's our thinking mind. Take the most instant thing that pops in. Probably one of the most important tips that I really like to tell you, if you make seeing more important than anything else, everyone wants, when they're working on their intuition and they really want it to crank up, they make clairvoyance, they make seeing so important. And if you continue to make it so important, you're going to miss all these other ways that information's coming in. And what I've noticed over the years, I didn't mention my whole family are psychics and stuff. I don't think I mentioned it. What I've noticed with my whole family, but also other people, professional psychics, we tend to use the word seeing, and what we really mean is we sensed it in some way. But we hear about clairvoyance and we hear about seeing all the time. I'm here to tell you, if you keep trying to see spirit, trying to see whatever intuitively, you are absolutely getting in your own way. Because look at the effort that it sounds like. Even as I'm saying it, oh, I'm trying real hard to see, I'm trying real hard. That effort is constricting. It won't allow this flow of information, because when that's our left brain going, oh, I want to see my grandmother who's passed on. I want to see this loved one. I can't see them. If you start noticing all of your other senses and forget about seeing, I like it that some of you are smiling at me. If you make all of your other senses more important, your clairvoyance, your ability to see, is just going to start flowing in more natural, because you're not trying to do it anymore. If you're putting effort into this, you're absolutely getting in your own way. That's probably the most important thing that I can even say in here. And you notice the difference between noticing, here's my other tip, noticing and trying real hard. That antennas don't work hard at anything. They just stand there, and they receive whatever's coming in. So there's no effort. So working real hard and simply noticing is a huge, huge difference. A huge difference. You might just take a moment and go into that pause and notice. Take the most instant thing that pops up in your awareness. All righty. Did you notice a thought pop in? Did you notice a feeling? Just call out. What happened? And see, I didn't give you very long either. Because if you sit there very long, your thinking mind's just going to go, oh, well, I'm not picking anything up, that kind of thing. What did you just call out? What did you notice? Anything.
I hate to be disappointing, but I saw something.
Were you trying to see it?
No, I mean, I was just
Yay!
trying to just relax, and whatever came.
Yes.
Come.
Yes. Okay. So you had an image? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Great.
I saw a tall man holding a placard.
So you had an image too? Were you trying to see something?
No.
Excellent. See, if you stop trying to see spirit, it can't happen, because it's our thinking mind. It's not our spirit mind picking up the information. It's our thinking mind picking it up. And the other important tip that I bring this up because over the years I do a lot of mentoring classes or one-to-one mentoring over the phone or Skype to help individuals crank up their intuition. Over the years, this has helped people more than anything, and I want to share that with you. If you notice, I just feel your third eye right now. Just kind of get a sense of it, an awareness about it. There's no wrong way to do it. Just kind of notice your third eye. Right here, your forehead. When we try really hard to improve or build our intuition, we tend to have a pushing outward from our third eye. So trying hard is kind of a very active process. So there's the energy will tend to push out of our third eye. So kind of notice if that feels right to you. Just because I say it doesn't make it right. Make sure you check, see what feels right to you. If you've been working hard at doing this, you'll probably notice, oh yeah, it does feel like usually my energy goes outward like this. And if you really are a very, very aware receiver of the wisdom in the air around us, receiving is an intake. The third eye, in my opinion, is a receiving center. So if you would right now, just imagine just a very gentle, restful feeling in your forehead, your brow area. I want you to imagine that when you inhale normally, just to imagine inhaling, the feel of inhaling into your forehead. Very gentle, very rhythmic. As you inhale through your third eye, just imagine drawing in the richness and wisdom that vibrates in the air around you right now. Alrighty, you just very naturally closed your eyes even. So just go ahead and open your eyes and just call out, did anybody notice, did it feel really different to do it this way? So, I got a lot of nods, a lot of mm-hms, because I don't work hard at this. When I do medical intuition, I simply connect with the person, follow the sound of their voice, if they're on the phone, that kind of thing. And then I pause. I don't do anything else. I pause and I just feel my breath and I receive. There's no effort in it. There's no effort as an antenna. An antenna just picks it up. They're not working hard at it. They just pick it up. It just comes to them. It comes to them. Did it feel good to anybody? Better? You
I
liked?
almost had the feeling of leaving my body, and I haven't done that before. So that was
Wow.
I will try again.
So leaving your body was positive, though, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Very good. So it felt very different. It probably, if you've really been working on your own intuition, it will probably feel very, very different what we just did. And I'm telling you, walk around here today and just see what you pick up. Don't work so hard at it. Just see what you pick up. Now, we've got about 5 more minutes. What questions do you have about medical intuition? Tell me, what have you been wondering about? Yes?
You said when you were doing all of these people
On the
on the cards,
drawings I passed around?
you had said you would see, like the woman with the colon polyps, the cyst.
Yes.
You
Mm-hmm.
actually saw in your mind's eye
Yes.
a polyp. Okay.
Correct. She had a bunch of them, but
If I put on your head a CT brain imaging equipment,
mm-hmm.
any kind you can imagine,
Mm-hmm.
would I see activity in your brain that suggests that this image now is being developed in your brain, and I could see what part of the brain is actually functioning in that?
They have been using CAT scans with people to do this very
For you,
thing.
if I put a scale on you, what
Would
would
it?
medical intuitive show up in the brain activity as they were working on someone and going through the process?
Well, I don't think the image of polyps about someone would show up.
Something would show
But
up.
yes, I think the activity, to me it feels, and this isn't scientifically based, as if there is, how would I say it? It's not getting rid of our thinking left mind, but it's allowing what I call the spirit mind to come up and be just as strong. So my sense is when I'm doing this, it feels like my thinking mind is literally over here and quiet, and this feels like it fires up, but especially right in the very, very center of my head. And when we close our eyes, our eyeballs are really still seeing. Just because our eyelids are down doesn't mean our eyeballs are not still seeing. I'm looking into the back of my eyelid. Now, if you have one of those gizmos and it won't bother my brain, you could hook me up. I would love that.
Someone showed you a picture of polyps, cancerous polyps.
Yeah.
And they looked at your brain activity, and then you looked at someone, working with someone and had the same sense. Would the brain activity be in the same area, the same size?
I don't know about that. I do not know. If you or anyone else is very, very interested in the science of this, and I'm a registered nurse, so I do get more into the science of it, I love Gary Schwartz books. He is a scientist. I've had the privilege of meeting him. And he has such a dear soul. He is a scientist, and he was very, very skeptical of all this stuff. And his books are written for the lay person. And then if you are more scientific, he'll have little blocks that will give formulas and that kind of stuff in his books. Gary Schwartz. I'm reading his last book right now. I think it's Sacred Promise. I think it's his last book. But very, very scientific.
If I could ask just one last question. When someone comes up to you or someone you're preparing to, what do you do in preparation for the process of medical and intuitive?
About the only thing that I very actively do, well, let me back up. When I'm struggling, like if I was working with you and I was struggling to pick something up, I know that I was trying to do it on my own, and I stop and I'll say, because I have specific guides for medical intuition, and I think, oh, I forgot to call them in. I call them in to participate with me, and the information just starts flowing. Yes?
You talked about not diagnosing, so,
Don't diagnose.
right, but what I'm saying is, you have someone in front of you, you see something that you want to tell them about.
Correct.
How would you, like the person with polyps, how would you tell them, hey, this is what I see and this is what I think you should do without crossing that boundary? How would you word it?
We can describe it in minute detail. I said nothing feels like it's flowing in that area. It feels very bulky, of which it did. It looks very dark. It's even heading into the black area. And the rest of you around that, the tissue does not look that way. So I went into detail, bulk, darkness, no flow. See, we can describe this in minute detail as long as we don't put a medical label on it.
So you wouldn't use the word cancer or polyps?
Never say the C word,
Okay.
ever. But what I have found a lot of cancer in people. What I'll say is, I want you to go check this out. Have you had a mammogram lately? I've said that recently to someone. And well, would you please go do it, because the flow in your right breast is not the same as in the other. So just go check it out. That I hope that I say some of the scary stuff with compassion and kindness and not create terror. But go check it out, please. So does that answer your question? I
Yes.
describe it in as many ways as I can pick it up. And I say it.
If you were going to hang a shingle out in front of your house and wanted people to come to you, clients, whoever.
Yeah.
How would you advertise without crossing that boundary again? Would you say medical intuitive, or how would you get people,
Yes.
how would you get people to say, yeah, this is who I want to go see for this reason?
How do I get people?
Yeah, how would people know to come to you without you
It's
crossing
word
the
of
boundary?
mouth. I hardly ever advertise. Like I have my book in Dreamweaver magazine, which is the magazine here in this area. I don't advertise. It's always been word of mouth. And because people will tell you, you don't have to interpret what you're getting. If you just tell them, they know exactly what it is. They'll tell you what you're talking about. You just find it, describe it, tell them whatever it is you're picking up, and they'll tell you. Somebody else had, yes.
How often is it a past life issue, and do you intuit that? Do you get some sense of what the issue is or event that occurred?
Yes, I have some kind of graphic examples that, yes, I learned over the years, no matter how weird, no matter how strange, no matter how ugly, whatever I get, I share it very compassionately and gently with people. And, you know, say I see something about their head, and when it's a past life, or even the past in our current life, I tend to get pulled, like if the person's here, I tend to get pulled, it's like my attention pulls over to that way, and I'll see some crazy, it looks like a movie of a scene where someone got beheaded or something. And I'll tell them that. First I'll say, you know, I don't know if you believe in past lives, but this is what I'm getting. Every time I've said the weirdest stuff, people say, that makes so much sense to me. Even though I think it's weird stuff. And they'll say, that makes so much sense to me. All right, is there anything else? We're going to have to close.
Where's the name of your book?
Oh, thank you.
Where would you purchase it?
You can get it at the bookstores all around. It's on Amazon. It's an ebook also for Kindle and Nook and all that. It's Become a Medical Intuitive, the complete developmental course. And my booth is number 625, and I'm doing little 15-minute readings too, and I'll drawing a picture too today and tomorrow. Yes, yeah, my books, thank you. My books are at the booth. I don't advertise myself very well.